Hey, welcome back. Fundamentals of Bible Teaching, Lecture 22. It's a lab today, laboratory. We'll have one other one next week. Well, what we're going to do today is, in a way, pretend and not so much pretend, putting together a lesson, kind of how I do it. It's not the only way I do it, but this is the most typical way I would do it. So our topic, I'll pick that out for you, because there's so many topics. But you would sit there and go, okay, what am I going to teach on? Next week I teach Sunday school. Every week I teach Sunday school. And I'm not going to follow a series. So what's going to be next week's lesson? What are you thinking? Let's say the subject is going to be music. That's your main thing. Music is going to be it. All right. Now we go on. And you don't have this before you. And online students, you have nothing. Maybe you have a sheet of paper out. But so what areas might you want to talk about? You don't want to just talk about necessarily in one 30, 45-minute lesson music. You could, but is there going to be a specific area you want to cover about music? Name some.
Volume.
The volume of music. Okay. Like decibels?
That could be part of it. I mean,
Okay. Decibel levels, you're going to teach them the scientific issue.
well, don't share your music with half the town.
Okay, yeah. So proper volumes for a godly Christian, no matter how good the music is. All right? Volume. Others?
Never thought of that way.
No, I've never done volume. I'm going to write that one down. What's that?
Examples in the Bible.
Examples in the Bible on music, right?
Yeah.
On music, okay. Good. Got that down.
Addiction or like amount.
Addiction to music and
Yeah,
amounts
what's
you
it
listen to.
for, and who's it for, and taking place of other things, and people use
Okay.
music for a drug almost.
Yeah, so like obsessed with,
Yeah.
just having to have it playing all the time, those type of things. All right. Others, the big topic of music. What might you want to teach the adults on if you're a pastor with music on a lesson?
How to glorify God with it.
You're glorifying God. Purpose of music. I already got one picked out what we're going to do it on, but I just want to see what you come up with. Any of these are fine. Volume one would be hard to do
That's
just
your
one.
only topic.
Yeah, that's it. I'm talking about though a lesson topic. The subject is music. Here's your lesson. It's going to be entitled Volume or whatever it's going to be.
History.
Other history of music. Okay.
History, like the different or styles.
Where the genres came from. Okay, where did music come from? The genres.
Oh yeah, and even yeah.
Okay.
Just how it affects different societies, different countries.
Uh-huh.
Some they have different kinds of music, some not good.
Yeah.
Some, all
Nope.
the Chinese stuff is not.
Yeah, it's weird. Hey, you're sitting here by yourself typically, not talking over with a class like this when you're putting together your lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is up to you. So don't rely on other people and wonder what they're going to say. You be thinking on this. You'll get hopefully a chance to share some things, but it gets down to you putting together a lesson, probably all by your lonesome, you and God, and you're not following some preset series. I don't recommend those unless you're just starting out and totally scared out of your mind. You put it together from scratch, right, Brother Vinci? Isn't that how a lot of times you do it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's from scratcholio. You just get a subject or a text and you go from there. All right, well, we've got different lesson topics here. The big subject is music. Today's going to be Christians listening to CCM. Okay, Christians, which is a big issue. Christians listening to contemporary Christian music. That's a genre. Okay, that's not just music that's written recently. We're talking about kind of the rock pop style. It's got drums, electric guitars, sounds worldly to me at least. Okay, so we're in that area. So that's our lesson topic. Okay, you've decided upon that. First, though, backing it up, I would advise you to be on your knees before the Lord. Like last night, I try and do this every time, but I don't have much time to do stuff. So it's 9:40 at night. I'm getting ready now to get ready for the sermon for tomorrow, which would be today. But last night, 9:40. So I go, okay. I was all set to start looking for it. I go, no. I got to pray. So I spent maybe 15 minutes. You said, that's all? Well, I was begging the Lord to give me what it's supposed to be. Sometimes it's been longer. Sometimes it's been a minute. And how does it happen to me? Well, typically, and I'm trusting by how the sermons go, this is of God, I'm there and I'm thinking, first I pray, and God, I don't deserve anything, I stink, I can't do anything right. please help me do something right here, all that. And then I asked him, so what to teach on, what to preach on. So if you're one of those who goes, okay, I'll just wait here until you tell me, that's probably not going to happen. So the logical thing is, okay, Lord, okay, what do they need? What would be good for them? What would be helpful? And you you got to kind of keep your mind going. So, and then came hate. No, it came being a Christian and a disciple. That just popped in my mind after 10 minutes or so. It wasn't like right away. And then I just sat there for a little bit and went, this is good, this is good. This is it. It took me about a minute to say, that's it. And I got up, bumped my head on the desk, and then texted Sister Hewen what the topic was. And started in. All right, anyways, you get your topic. Subpoints to consider. You don't have this, but so what, under Christians listening to CCM, what might be some even small subtopics or larger subtopics that you want to include? As you know, this is part of the brainstorming. You just got a sheet of paper out, either writing it down or typing it, dropping little notes down as you're just thinking, sipping coffee, whatever. And I'll give you one or two just to know. Oh, it's dangerous. Oh, it's creeping into churches. And there's all these other areas. Just think about it. Name some that pop in your mind.
But you need to define it, maybe.
Define what we're talking about.
What
Good.
is CCM?
Yeah, right
Define.
here, CCM.
Okay. Want to define it, that's for sure. Good. Just write define. That'll be enough to jog your mind to go, okay, I need to do that.
Why it's dangerous.
Okay, why it's dangerous.
Yeah, under the, yes, it is dangerous, but why is it dangerous?
Yeah. And then so you're going to explain, not just to say it's dangerous, you're going to explain why. And maybe you have some reasons. And maybe, I got one here, the beat. Maybe the main danger part of it, the beat. You want to talk about rock beat. Because that's what it gets down to in a lot of these cases, it's the beat.
Yeah.
Other things.
Well,
Yeah.
standards. If that's your standard of music, and then your standards elsewhere are going to be along the same fleshy lines.
Yeah. So your standards in your church, music standards, good. And talk about standards. Why it's important to have conservative, godly, biblically based standards. Good. Anybody else? Now, brainstorming can be frustrating if you're just sitting there going, I can't come up with anything. Actively think about music. Start thinking about music. Daydream a bit about music. Thoughts will come. You may not be a good brainstormer, but you just need to do it, again, maybe 15, 30 minutes of doing it.
The influence on the writers of the CCM and one of the problems with CCM is it's a gateway
Okay?
into other things.
Right, yeah. And probably in the secular music is one gateway.
Right.
So you get used to that style and you're okay with it.
Well,
You've already been okay with it, and then you kind of move into soft rock. That's not, the lyrics are okay. It's not really bad lyrics, and you're okay with that. Next thing you know, you're.
well, and then, like I said, if you somehow make a song in your church that's also popular right now, but you tone it down, well, people are in your body are going to go listen to that, and then they're going to listen to that version.
Okay.
And then they're going to go, oh, well, I like that. What else? And then
Yeah.
next thing they're listening to CCM.
Right.
Almost like introducing them to soft porn or something.
Okay, good. Okay, so these are just quick jot downs. You got others?
You can talk about the world's view on it, and as well as the Bible's view. So,
Okay. World, how they view, what, CCM? Christians listen to CCM? Okay.
what they think
And
about it.
what they think about it. Talk about CCM groups and their image they portray. Just get pictures of them and look at them. Some are maybe okay, some.
Yeah.
Come on in, sister, it's okay. Big business! Big business! Come on in, sister, it's okay. Big business, all right. And then there's CCM being incorporated into churches and praise and worship. And how a lot of those songs are the same, exactly the same. They just, imitate them exactly the same way. All right, there's some.
Well, the content too, it's watered down and weak and
Right.
universal.
ecumenical universalism.
It could be applied to anybody, not just
Yeah,
Christians.
the lyrics are just kind of vague,
Yeah.
nothing too preachy. Right, these are sub-points to consider. These are areas you're going to work on that are kind of a major or somewhat major to talk about. And then there's all the stuff underneath, so just that one alone, you could have a whole bunch. Now, let's just take a few here because of time. I don't want to just do a whole lesson, because that takes more than a little bit of time, typically. So let's just take a couple sub-points to brainstorm on. So let's talk about CCM creeping into churches. That's one I want to talk about. So you're still just kind of brainstorming, and you wrote that down, and now you're going to think it out. Maybe you've got an article or two, so that's helpful, but we're not quite to that stage yet where I would go search what I have on my computer, all these files, and all the information in our books. I'm just thinking it out. So, Christians listening to CCM is the topic, and subtopic to brainstorm on is it's creeping into churches. What would you say about that? Little short blurbs.
Well, just the drums appearance in the churches, I guess. Is that
So
what-
drums, yeah,
other
it's coming on in. How's it get in there? What happens? So you have drums are a big issue. Do you just go from no drums to drums one day? Well,
Compromise.
there's compromise. Someday you have it. One day you don't have drums up there, and the next day you do. I've seen it written down in a book about how you go about getting drums up there, because that's the hardest thing. They say, so-called ecumenicists.
Start out with electric drums there.
Yeah, that's true. Or just a
That's what they
bongo. I've seen bongos are
Oh, yeah,
kind
there you
of, what is this, the 60s beatnik era
go.
here? What are we
Tambourine
doing?
or something.
A tambourine. It's creeping into churches.
Why is it creeping into
Okay,
churches?
well, why?
Why are they going from fundamental sound, doctrinally sound hymns of the faith to this?
Yeah. Why would that be?
Because that's what they're listening to at home.
Okay, good. So there's a lot to say on that. There's a brainstorming on that one, but let's stop there. Good. Other things on why it's creeping into churches. So why is it? But it is. You can even say independent Baptist churches.
Oh,
Yes. Talk about, this is a huge topic, blended worship. What is that thing? That's how it's creeping in. You go to the two services. Because the one old fogey or more conservative folks ain't going to take it, at least not yet. And so you go to the newer guys are okay, and you already meet and talk about it. So blended worship.
Well, it's being disseminated through some of the colleges. That would
Okay.
be why it'd be creeping
Uh-huh.
in, because some of the colleges that are training the pastors,
Yes. So some of these colleges
the
that aren't
new pastors,
quite to the standards that you would hope they would be are not there. And yes, they learn this, and the new pastors come out okay with certain types of music. I look at taped accompaniment, where you play your little CDs, or it used to be tapes, but CDs along with the music, and it has that flavor. You're getting used to it. What?
records.
Yeah, records and 8-tracks. So it's creeping into churches.
How about the young people that are
Youth.
coming in? They've been bombarded with music nowadays
Mhm.
with iPods and all this stuff.
So, yeah, some of the bigger independent Baptist churches, well, they become more famous in the little journals and newspapers, go that direction. The first area, they either do a blended worship and or the youth program becomes that. So the youth do it, and I guess as long as it's not in the main service, people are okay with it. Or maybe not, but the youth do it, and the youth starts growing.
They grow up.
Yeah, and they grow up. But the youth department starts growing, and stuff's going on, everything starts focusing on the youth, and they say, hey, it's the music, my friends. All right, and another subtopic to talk about is the beat. So Christians listen to CCM. So what's the problem with it? I don't see why you even need to talk about it, so they listen to it. Well, you talk to them about the beat. So what can we say about the beat?
Catchy.
Catchy? You like to listen to it? I mean, a person likes to listen to it. The flesh is like, I mean,
Yeah.
be honest, the flesh
What does it do to you?
likes it. What do to me? It makes me
More vomit.
feel kind of good.
Nervous?
Stimulates the flesh.
But the flesh part, we're talking about the flesh. You got the flesh, I got the flesh. You used to listen to wicked rock music, and that flesh is still with you, though you may have pushed her down, good. But I hear certain songs that go, oh yeah, I know that song. Well, anyways, the beat. What about the beat? Michael Jackson said, give me the beat!
It has a physiological effect.
Yeah.
Affects you physically. And you can talk about beat, you can get scientific about it and
Heart
give
rate.
examples.
Yeah, because the heart rate.
Heart rate and going against it,
Yeah.
and then just the syncopated pattern, and it kind of has a swing to it, a push. It's, you know, if it goes counter your normal, we'll call it body flow, how the beat is going in your body, it creates stress, anxiety.
Trans even potential. I mean, that's what they do in
Uh-huh.
those clubs where they
Sure.
sing Vito. They literally get into.
Well, there's
like,
trance music, I think it's
Right.
called. Trance is a genre. Or it's just, it just keeps going over and over
Yeah.
again, and you just do these little moves and take ecstasy and everything's fine.
Yeah, and they're like
The beat? The beat, yeah. So we talk about drums and the beat. What's a good beat? What's a bad beat? What's a really bad beat? Where do churches have to be careful on the beat? I look at syncopated, heavenly rhythm areas of a song you watch out for. Because as you get used to it, it seems to be no problem for people. And then you move on. And then pretty soon you only like the heavenly highway hymns type songs. And that the other stuff, no. How great thou art is boring. It doesn't have that southern rock feel to it. With 4 minutes left, okay, well, you brainstormed all these. You can see how long it could take. And you can see how you're going to have to start cutting things out. Because if you're writing down or typing everything you're actually saying or thinking, that's a lot of info. Of course, you want to incorporate Bible. So one of the areas you go to at some point, and probably in your brainstorming too, is you start thinking about, okay, music and Bible. That's not our topic specifically. It's Christians listening to CCM, but you're doing a lesson in Sunday school or teaching some ladies or teens or adults. You want to have Bible passages. So can you think of any? You don't have to quote it, but just something about the verse, like,
Something about David singing.
okay. So there's a lot about David singing and giving praise to God in the Psalms. So okay, so you think about that. So you think about verses that pop in your mind, parts of verses. Also, you can go, if you have a good Bible program, or any type of Bible program in a computer, you type in music as a topic. You have a topic section. It gives you some. Sometimes so many is too many.
Didn't they talk about Satan having like all these instruments in
Okay.
his body?
That's at Ezekiel 28. I believe that's where it talks about Lucifer. And so you may not remember where it's at, but you just write down Lucifer and things in his body. That's fine. You go research it up. What else? Bible passages. This is to do music in general. We don't have to fit it right in right now for Christians listening to CCM. I wrote some things down. Well, we need to have a transformation because Romans 12, 1 and 2 talk about being not conformed to this world. I think you can get this. So be transformed. So we need to be going a different direction on music than the world. Different. What does God listen to? And I had one thing about harp music in heaven. I looked it up. It's Revelation 15. It talks about being in heaven and it was harp. The harps were playing, or a harp was playing.
Lots of singing too.
Singing. Well, anyways, you spend time thinking about, and God can really flood your mind with, if you've studied the Bible for a while, with parts of verses. Just write down whatever you can remember about the verse. Oftentimes you don't remember the address, and you go look it up with a good search tool on a computer program under concordance. Type in the words or the words you know, it finds it for you. And you're not going to necessarily use every verse you have, but you want some. The danger is, though, on this, Brother Vinci, you've got your topic and trying to find verses to support it. So So that's okay, but you need to be careful in that because you want the Bible to do the leading. And it's better to go another direction, ideally. But I've done this for years, and you just have to be careful, at least. So you may go onto your computer or notes you have, books, reference materials, and you look for information dealing specifically with music and what you're talking about. So research is done, not just brainstorming, but you are looking for stuff now. Putting all this together on paper or on a computer screen, and then an hour may have gone by, you've got all this stuff. Woohoo! Now what? Well, we've got to close it out here. What do you do now? If you remember how I've done it, you start organizing things. You already got what your topic's going to be. Now you can change it. You may find, oh man, I got a ton on this, I think I'll just do that. But let's just say it's still Christians listening to CCM. You got some sub-points you definitely want to consider. Some seem to have a whole bunch of meat to it. Others you have nothing with. So maybe you did it on praise and worship. You can't think of anything about praise and worship, so you just cross that one off. I don't know. So you get all that, and you start organizing. So you had the sub-points, so maybe that helps you. Maybe there's 4 you want to really focus on. Of all this information, this sea of stuff, does any of it fit in any one of these? If it does, draw lines to it, put 1, 2, 3, 4 for the points, and put the numbers by the little points that match, and then when you type it in, you just can find where it goes. Then once you get that all done, let's say you have 4 sub-points, you go to that section on your computer screen with all the stuff under that sub-point and organize that to make sense. Maybe look up some more verses, think some more about it. If you're like me, I like to be readable, so I just read the thing. I can have it, so I'm just up there reading it. I feel safer with that. But you may just want to have bulleted points. Some just do outlines. I don't like outlines, but you can just do those. And then you finish it all. You have a good conclusion to it, good introduction. You want to make sure you have points in there. And you want to reiterate, explain, give examples, illustrations, all these things we talked about. Synonyms. Anything else we've talked about recently? Putting it all together. So there's your lesson on Christians listening to CCM. It may have taken you 3 hours. Is that bad? No. I think if you put together a lesson, other than like for a 5-year-old or 6-year-old, but 10 to 12-year-olds and up, that's less than an hour. Unless you know that thing really good, or you've just got a ton of lessons you've done on that, that's not enough time. Typically, if I'm going to do the same type of topic, say I've already got one, Christians listening to CCM, I'm going to take that, what I got, let's say I did it 2 years ago, there it is. Okay, let's tear it apart. Okay, it's not going to be the same. I'm not going to do it the same way. So let's do some new thinking. Let's change that. There's got to be more verses. Let's take another one I did kind of similar to that and put some of that in there. So I'll spend an hour and a half or 2. So usually it's an hour and a half or 2 in revamping an old one. Spend time on it and pray. And of course, think about your students. What's going to be a help to them? We'll do another one of these next week. And then let's take a break.